True Life News Show today, guys. We knew it. We knew it was coming. Big wins. This is so amazing, guys. I love what I'm about to tell you. It is an absolute beast of a win. Why? Because we're getting transparency. We are able to finally see what we have always wanted to. President Donald Trump, his dream team, Elon Musk, and especially Scott Bessent, who is the Treasury Secretary, has just won a huge ruling against a rogue leftist judge for them to be able to access the IRS in its entirety, all the legal documents. And guess what? We are finding out that there's tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of illegals and criminal illegals that are in the IRS database system. So they're calling Tom Homan to come in, use the data, and continue the mass deportations of criminal illegal aliens. Guys, cleaning up our country. This is what I'm talking about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, because this right here, they've been fighting it since day one. They wanted to get access to the data. They wanted to be able to see everything, and now they can. So Trump is winning big. And guys, this is a win for America, what I'm just telling you. I hope you're sitting down because we knew it, and they're exposing themselves, these rhinos, in the Senate, guys, and in the House. So listen to this. Leading report tells us that with Speaker Mike Johnson and John Thune have already admitted to not wanting to codify Trump's prescription drug prices that Trump just did, lowering all the prescription drug prices by executive order. They will not bring it to the floor. They will not vote on it because they said it would cause too much infighting with the GOP. So you're telling me that the people that are supposed to be representatives of us are not wanting to codify a bill or codify an executive order into a bill that Trump just signed to help lower prescription drug prices because there'd be too much infighting. Guys, what this tells us is that there are some people that are getting paid. There's lobbyists that are having their way with these GOP rhinos, and they're not putting America first. We have so much regulation and so much around prescription drug prices and all that to increase the cost. Trump is working to bring it down, and now we know John Thune and Speaker Mike Johnson have said no to not bringing this to the floor to vote on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I'm telling you, we are seeing them go nuts. We are seeing them being exposed. The Democrats are imploding. We're exposing the rhinos and the Republicans, and we need to get some MAGA people, guys, in Congress, putting America first. Because you know what Trump's doing, guys? Let me tell you this. I hope you got your popcorn because we're about to have a show. Trump and Saudi Crown Prince just signed an economic agreement which will result in over $600 billion in Saudi investment in the United States. Guys, you realize, we're not talking million, we're talking billions, almost $750 billion in new investment into the United States. We also have it where the new jobs report came out. And guess what? We now know an additional 400,000 jobs that were supposedly created under Biden were fake jobs and have been removed from the numbers. Huge exposure, huge scandal, guys. And then the Biden presidency was so fake because guess what's come out today? This morning, new symptoms and issues of Biden's health reports have come out showing that he's been ill. He's been dealing with something for the past 2 years, guys. Did not the left-wing media cover it up? Trump is over here putting America first, getting the wins, bringing investments in. We're exposing the Biden regime, the Biden administration for all their corruptness. We are winning big time. Guys, I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. Thank you so much for your support. I want to say we could not do this without you, and it means the world to us that you support us. If you're not subscribed, though, please consider hitting that subscribe button so we can take care of you every day with the top news. Guys, we're busting our butt for you. We want to bring you the best show every day. There's so much going on. I want to give some love to our members of the channel, guys. The ones in green on the chat, guys. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for your continued support. Remember, in 9 days, you're going to see this guy donate thousands of dollars online to a local charity, to a children's home, helping out kids that don't got anything, guys. And with your support, when you're a member or you give a super chat donation, that's where that money goes. Because I got to give some love to Mr. Norby, OG of the channel. Show Mr. Norby some love. Guys, let's get into this. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button. Guys, the wins are coming in. We're exposing the fraud, the waste, the abuse. Trump is the art of the deal. Check this out. Whoops. Whoop. Sorry, guys.
The White House is on the verge of a bevy of new agreements and deals, and it looks like that trade deal the media told us would never happen between the U.S. and China is about to happen. Quote, the U.S. and China agreed to suspend tariffs for 90 days in a move that shows a major thawing of tensions between the world's two largest economies. The trade agreement means that reciprocal tariffs between both countries will be cut from 125% to 10% after high-stakes talks in Switzerland over the weekend. And just hours after that news was first reported at 4 a.m. this morning, the Wall Street Journal printing this. Here's the headline: How Tariffs Are Crushing Small Businesses and Nobody in Power Seems to Care. Well, the Wall Street Journal, which just suddenly morphed into the New York Times, writing about how the past few months have apparently been tough on small businesses because of tariffs. Really just the last...
Guys, I don't understand it. That they didn't write this when it came to the past 4 years, whenever Biden was in charge and whenever he was doing what? He was literally bringing up inflation, spending us into oblivion, cutting off all the drilling, cutting off so much for small businesses. This is a joke. And you know what? I'm so happy that they can put this something out like this, but then Trump comes back with some more wins to help America be great again. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Weeks, but no mention in the Wall Street Journal article about the thousands, if not millions, of businesses that were forced to close forever during the pandemic because of Biden-Harris insanity. Nothing. Instead, a piece about a rough few weeks for small businesses across America.
Wow.
Well, did you see what the stock market did today, Wall Street Journal? Did you see that? What's the Wall Street Journal going to write about if Donald Trump continues to make deals with all the countries that were taking advantage of us when people like Joe Biden were president? What are they going to say then? We'll wait for it. On Friday, it was the United Kingdom. Donald Trump was patient. He told us to be patient, and look what happened. The world did not come to an end. The stock market did not crash. We are not in a depression. We are not in a recession. Everything is okay. The birds are still chirping outside. It is safe again to retire in America. England came to the table late last week, and we now have a trade deal in place that works for England and the United States. How about that, Joe Biden? And every other country is going to do the exact same thing, including China.
Let's go.
We are 110 days into Donald Trump's second term, and once again, it looks like Donald Trump was right. And instead of another Ukraine, this time between two countries with nuclear weapons, it looks like the Trump administration played a key role in negotiating a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, as Barack Obama used to say. The fighting started last week, but the White House stepped in and essentially said, cut it out.
Yep.
Stop the fighting.
Guys, again, like when we show you this stuff, what I love is that the consensus, we're showing all types of news networks. We're showing you that, you know what, it doesn't matter where the news is coming from, because right now it is good. It is winning for Trump. Check this out.
This morning, the opening bell just rang moments ago on Wall Street, and investors are responding to brand new inflation numbers. You see a little bit of a mixed bag there. NASDAQ up, S&P up, the Dow down just by a bit. But there is new data that just landed from the Labor Department showing inflation year over year actually slowed to the lowest annual inflation rate since February of 2021. CNN, Zane Asher, wearing the color of money.
Guys, do you realize how much these news anchors hate it that they have to report that under Trump, we are winning, we're doing better than ever, inflation is down to the lowest that it's been since 2021? This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is winning. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, we are moving America forward, and this is what it looks like. Want to say thank you so much. What's new for the super chat? Let's go. He said, our President Trump wheeling and dealing worldwide for the American people, baby. I love it. Y'all show what's new. Some love in the chat, guys, because the winning is not stopping. We are making America great again.
Think about that. Think about how different the world would be today if the Biden administration had even a fraction of that influence when Russia invaded Ukraine. Instead, 1 million people are dead or injured, and the war is now in year number 4.
Wow.
I picked up the New York Times yesterday. You're away for a while, and you're like, I got to get caught up. So I picked up the New York Times yesterday just to see for myself how they were framing all of this. Everything I missed while I was away. And here are some of the headlines. Emmanuel Macron and Vladimir Zelensky, allies and, dare I say it, friends. And this quote made me laugh. The men no longer go through formal diplomatic channels, again, this is the New York Times, but call each other directly on secure lines using WhatsApp and Signal, and they write that without irony.
Wow.
Signal. They use Signal. The New York Times wants Pete Hegseth fired for using Signal, but if it's Emmanuel Macron and Saint Zelensky somehow, well, that's okay.
That's a good thing.
And then I turned the page, and here was the next headline. Watergate-era Washington was less toxic than what it is today. After that,
what
and I'm not kidding,
joke.
the New York Times yesterday, 6 deadly minutes, how Israeli soldiers killed 15 rescue workers in Gaza. And people actually read the New York Times. And the problem with this is they read it and they believe it. No mention of the really important fact that Hamas attacked Israel. It wasn't the other way around. And the people who live in Gaza actually elected a terrorist organization called Hamas and put them in power. Guess what? You reap what you sow. You voted for these people. They are your elected government until something changes. And you attacked Israel on October the 7th.
Yep.
I'm sorry if you don't like how Israel is responding to that attack.
Guys, and this is the thing. What we see and what we're learning now after the fact, because again, too, hindsight is 2020. What we're learning is that all these left-wing media outlets, all that, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, all of them, New York Times, nobody cares about America actually winning than somebody like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and his MAGA people. All they care about is how do we make, did you see that Watergate more toxic than this? Like all this stuff. What are we doing? And this is what I love is what are we doing are putting America first policies. The average American person is feeling it in common sense thought process to say, you know what? This guy actually talks about America a lot. Trump really puts America first. He's really signing a lot of deals for America. While all the rest of them are doing what? Trying to make anything and everything look bad. No matter what it is, they're on the opposite side of it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments because I got something to show you guys that we're going to show in a minute, and it is a game changer for the Trump administration and for America.
And nothing about the release of Edon Alexander, the last American hostage being held by Hamas. He is free today. We'll have more on this in a moment. This video, tremendously emotional. 580 days in captivity. There he is, hugging his family. Joe Biden left him to rot in Gaza. President Trump on Truth Social overnight writing, I'm happy to announce that Edon Alexander, an American citizen who had been held hostage since October 2023, is coming home to his family.
Guys, didn't he say he was going to free the hostages? Like, I'm telling you, promises made, promises kept.
And after all of that, at 9:30 a.m. this morning, RFK Jr. did something that Joe Biden promised to do for 4 years. He talked about this constantly, but he never actually did it.
This is an extraordinary day. This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. One of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. We now have a president who is a man of his word.
Yes.
Okay, so directly after that, the New York Times wrote this in what is clearly a message to all their favorite judges on the left who have been so active lately. The message, clear, It's get to work. Here's the quote. Any such plan will most likely be subject to challenges in court, and it's not clear whether it will pass legal muster, especially without action by Congress. And did you see what happened on Wall Street today? The NASDAQ.
Guys, I'm telling you, if we do not bring the receipts, guys, this is what I love, is that you just heard this, that RFK is saying Trump is doing something that no other president has ever actually done, or they would say they were going to do it. And then you heard him say what about Congress, about lowering the prescription drug prices. Well, listen to this. Watch this, guys, because we bring the dang receipts. This is from the leading report. Senator Majority Leader John Toons says it would be fairly controversial to codify President Trump's executive order lowering drug prices to match those in the other developing countries into law, signaling possible opposition. If the dang rhinos are not exposing themselves, we're trying to put America first. People of America love it because they're not getting ripped off by everybody. And we're starting to see that even our own leaders of the GOP are opposition. Pamela Dunbar, welcome to the family. Let's go. Y'all show Pamela some love in the chat. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments, because every single time Trump makes a move, he's exposing more of the rhinos.
Was up 4.5%. The Dow up 1,100 points. I leave the country for 6 days on assignment. I was not suspended, and I return to a country that is getting better by the day, thanks to a president who continues to do what the experts all say cannot be done. Donald Trump arriving in Saudi Arabia tonight. He's set to touch down in minutes. I wonder if he sleeps when he takes a 15-hour flight. I bet he doesn't. Maybe he does. This is the first international trip since winning back the presidency. I arrived back in the U.S. on Saturday after being on assignment in Rome to cover the conclave. And the more I thought about what I just witnessed when I was over there, just about 100 yards from where this took place, and what it means to have a pope from the United States, just a guy from Chicago, a White Sox fan. He's a Bears fan. He now lives in the Vatican. The more I was reminded of how much the left absolutely hate Catholics and Christians and faith in general, and it's part of the reason they continue to lose. The New York Times yesterday, front page, above the fold, like they used to say. This is the Sunday New York Times. This headline: the plight of the Pope's Chicago parish is a familiar Catholic lament, which is the story about the church that Pope Leo used to go to 60 years ago when he was a little kid in suburban Chicago. That church apparently closed, which, by the way, is not a story. Churches open and close all the time. The real story is that because of this Pope, an American Pope, churches are going to start to open again. And not just Catholic churches in the U.S., churches of all faiths are going to open again in the United States because faith is returning. It's returning to the U.S.
Guys, and what I love is that every single time we get wins. And what I got to show you this, guys, because this is monumental. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. I want to give some love to Bonnie Morris for the super chat. Thank you so much. Y'all show Bonnie some love in the chat. Hey, Bonnie is reaching that OG status on the channel, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Remember, we are changing lives with your donations. But I want to show you this, guys, because again, too, we are seeing a lot of people that are exhibiting just these evil tendencies, guys. It doesn't matter if whatever Trump does, it could be a win for everybody, but it is wrong in their eyes, and it blows my mind what you're about to hear next. Check this out.
I don't know if they weigh one against the other that way. I mean, I do think it's not alleged discrimination that these people are facing in South Africa. I mean, the law there absolutely allows their property to be confiscated. They are subject to racial discrimination. Some have been subject to violence from some reports that I have read. I mean, we're talking about 50-something people, and the people who seem to be angriest about this today had no problem with 20 million coming here. Some of the worst people in the world coming here, including gang members and so on and so forth. So I don't have a lot of sympathy for the folks who are outraged today after what happened to this country over the last several years, over 50-something people who are clearly being discriminated against in South Africa.
But I think it's the reasoning for this, Allison.
Guys, I love it. He drops the bombs on these people, guys. And I got to show you this, too, because this is one of the biggest monumental wins ever. Right here, a federal judge has given President Trump the green light to use IRS data to track down illegal immigrants. Boom, baby. They tried to kick him out. The judges, the rogue judges, tried to say that it was unconstitutional. How is it unconstitutional to want to protect your country? This right here just shows us another huge, massive win for Donald Trump. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Want to give some love to Sandra S. Thank you so much for gifting 5 TrueLife News memberships. Let's go. Growing the TrueLife News family. If you got a free TrueLife News membership from Sandra, show her some love in the chat, guys, because I'm telling you, well, we're bringing you the transparency. We're bringing you the facts from people right in Congress so that you can know what the heck is actually happening. Check this out.
I want to start. We're very lucky to have Andy Biggs for a few minutes here before he gets on other activities up on the Hill. So, Congressman Biggs, here's the thing. We're trying to break this whole thing down, the big, beautiful bill, both the cost side and the tax side. But let's go to cost first, because you've clarified something to me I think is quite important, and I believe the audience understand this. Senator Johnson's got an amazing piece in the Wall Street Journal, and we're trying to get Johnson on in Hawley's piece about Medicaid. But Johnson talks about, as we talk about on the show, the discretionary budget. You got to get here. You can't get a debt ceiling increase and then blow through it. And I keep saying, hey, we got to get off talking about the 10 years. But the 10-year does have a logic to it in that the guys talking about 10 years are talking about some of the mandatory cuts. Walk me through right now your assessment, because the big, beautiful bill seems to me it's kind of slapped together. It's very hard to get your hands around. I don't see a lot of cuts coming out of here. I see a $2 trillion minimum deficit this fiscal year that ends on September 30th. And a back of an envelope, we're at 2.5 for next fiscal year. So the $4 trillion lift we get on the debt ceiling, I think we blow through before the 26 midterm. Congressman Biggs, you've been the biggest deficit hawk in Congress. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Steve. So when you take the big, beautiful bill is focusing on what we call mandatory spending. And that's a whole tranche of things that we can touch. We can't really get into discretionary spending too much on that. But you cannot touch Social Security. Everybody says, oh, we're getting Social. No, you can't touch Social Security. And this is all by rule, by the way, Steve. This isn't law. This is rule. And so you have this mandatory side, and then you have the discretionary side. And Ron, and I love Ron, and I'm working with Ron. We meet fairly regularly, talk about these things. He's right. And I've been advocating too, get back to the pre-2019 levels. Get back to the pre-2019 levels on the discretionary side. You actually take a substantial chunk and you bend the spending curve down. On the other hand, you're talking about people that they don't want to cut the Green New Deal stuff. So we're going to get only about 85% of Green New Deal cut. That's on the mandatory side. You're going to get these folks from these California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, these high property tax states. They want the rest of America to subsidize their high property tax as a deduction. So they said now they're not.
And that's with the state and local, the salt taxes, guys, the salt deductions. This is what blows my mind. How in 2 to 3 years, you go from spending, say, $4.5 trillion as a nation in the federal budget, and then because of the pandemic, we knew once in a lifetime thing that happens, they literally raise it by, say, 50%, and then it just stayed there. Nobody wants to cut the spending, but this is the worst part about Congress, is that they don't care. It's not their money. They can do whatever they want. They're never held accountable. If something that they spend the money on doesn't go good, guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody knows. Nobody is holding them accountable, and it blows my mind that we're sitting here as a nation, $37 trillion in debt. We have 1 or 2 people that are willing to fight the fight to stop wasting taxpayer dollars. And then the rest of them don't even care. Just keep spending. Papa Don, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Papa Don some love in the chat, as well as Melissa Sadler for your continued support. Let's go. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody.
Going to vote for this because they didn't get a big enough deduction, but that's a $250 billion hit over 10 years. What's the big nut? The big nut here, Steve, is that we're going to be cutting less than 10% of our annual structural deficit. of, as you say, $2.25 trillion. You'll be cutting somewhere in the neighborhood of about $140 billion. So your deficit will continue to grow and exist. And the other part is, in 10 years from now, you'll be sitting at $60 trillion in national debt.
Wow.
Unless you do more than what we're doing, what's been proposed. And at that $60 trillion, that doesn't include any kind of wildfires, catastrophes, hurricanes, flooding that'll need supplementals. It doesn't include any military action or wars that get in there. It doesn't include spikes in interest rates. And it also, a lot of people aren't talking about this, it also makes assumptions on the growth rate of the GDP. So while we want to get this done, and we want it to be nice and big and beautiful, and there's some great things in this bill, and there's some nods in the right direction, you still end up in a very untenable situation 10 years.
Look, I love Hawley and Johnson. They're great guys, but Hawley's the lone populist, and Johnson's like a former business guy, talks like an entrepreneur. We love him. But they're not exactly, and they would admit, they don't have a lot of stroke in the Senate. You and you're leaving here shortly to go run for governor of Arizona, and you're like the leader of the deficit hawks. This is like the last hurrah for Andy Biggs. When are we going to start feeling that there's some organized effort here of smart people that understand this deficit? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole purpose, and this is Besant's plan, which he sold in the campaign, he sold to make himself Secretary of Treasury. It's Trump's plan. It's brilliant. Take the percentage deficit from 6.5% or 7%, which is not sustainable. Take it down fairly rapidly to 3.5%, which we don't love. But he says you're never going to get to balance, but we can live with that. I can finance that. This program, and let's talk about the growth rates. I don't see us even making a dent in that. I still think we're back up north of 5%, 6%, a percentage when you talk about real spending, not the gimmicks that are in there. You talk about that. So this doesn't execute on the president's principal plan to get the country's finances in order. Andy Biggs, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think President Trump is really emphasized the tax plan. So you got the tax plan, but you got, some of that needs to be paid for, right? I mean, how do you pay for it? Because some of it is a straight up, and by the way, I love the tax plan, but some of it.
And guys, I really want to say this real quick, is that Trump just signed a $600 billion investment coming from the Saudis into the United States to invest into our economy, to help it grow, create more jobs, and do an amazing thing of just growing our economy. But how insane and asinine does it sound for them to say, yeah, we're bringing in all this money. If we don't change anything in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to be at $60 trillion in national debt, yet we're not cutting enough. I promise you, the Democrats are never going to cut. It has to be the Republicans, and we have to show the American people common sense financial policies. But right now, do you see the resistance that we are fighting against all these Congress people, guys? These Congress people are so freaking corrupt that they do not care about the national debt. They do not care about you paying more taxes because they're always going to get paid. Remember, during COVID, everybody had to stay home. People were losing their jobs, but guess who got to get paid? The Congress people. It is such a joke right now that we truly do not have people that represent we the people in the United States. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, we're going to call them all out, and we're going to expose every single one of them.
Just, you're not actually, you got to have some money to pay for it somehow. And you should be using trade-offs in other areas. I mean, so last week, my understanding is last week we were going to vote on some bills that would codify the DOGE cuts.
Right here.
But we ended up not voting on them. Now, why is that, Steve? It's because we have people in this body that won't do it.
Yep. Guys, did we not call it out? And now you have Andy Biggs who's saying the exact same thing. They had it scheduled to vote. Then Mike Johnson out of nowhere says we're going to take an extra 2-day vacation for Mother's Day weekend. This is the worst. Like, we have the worst of the worst people representing us in Congress. Why? Because they're all paid off.
When we start talking about Medicaid, Medicaid's really important because you have two basic fundamental groups. You have the original Medicaid, which is to take care of the disabled, the elderly, pregnant women, and children, indigent children, right? Then you had the Obamacare side of it, which was the expansion population, which is the able-bodied adults. And then you have the matching rates that are very different. You don't have work requirements. This bill has very modest work requirements, 20 hours a week. Come on, Steve. I mean, that's just crazy to get all your medical care if you're an able-bodied adult. There are some states that are reimbursing at Medicaid rates that are multiple times Medicare reimbursement rates. Why are those different? Well, the number one growing area is the Medicaid, and that is our biggest growing program and our biggest growing financial danger that we have. So you've got a whole host of things. Why are Republicans now who when I first ran 9 years ago, we were running on the notion of eliminating Obamacare, and now we're basically embracing Obamacare because of Medicaid.
Guys, let me tell you this. When we show you stuff, guys, we always bring the receipts. I want you to see this right here, because the corruption is, we're only less than 4 months into this administration, and look how much corruption we've already exposed. Just found out that 400,000 jobs were non-existent. Labor Department admits hundreds of thousands of Biden's jobs were fake. Guys, this is the corruptness. This is them trying to look good for the media, trying to look good, because guess what? This always comes after the election, after the presidential election. Now we know that not only did they fudge all the jobs numbers, it's even worse. There was an additional 400,000 jobs that were fake. And this is what blows my mind. That we are sitting over here, we're finding out all this corruption. Who's going to hold them accountable? You've got right here, I want to show you this because this is beautiful, guys. Let me take this audio off. You've got President Trump over here who is signing this deal with the Saudi of putting $600 billion into investments into the United States of America. Look at this. This is such a historic moment, guys, that we're witnessing. This will result in over $600 billion in Saudi investment into the United States, creating jobs, creating a stronger economy. And did we ever see this come from the Biden administration? No. And guys, the wins keep on coming, guys. This is such a fun show for me because I get to show you that Trump is not only changing America, this dude is changing the world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
About 4 years of action. Trump signed a trade deal with Great Britain, then brokered a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, freed the final American hostage from Hamas, slashed drug prices, and now he's on the way to the Middle East. But China was the big kahuna.
Yesterday, we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the largest structural issues.
So we were in a toxic relationship with the Chinese. We got hooked on their cheap junk. And it was making us needy. You never want to be the needy one in a relationship. It's not healthy for you or the other person. So we're letting them down easy. Besson took the Chinese to a secluded Swiss villa overlooking Lake Geneva and locked the door. Scott sweet-talked them for about 14 hours and then convinced them that it was their idea to break up.
Let's go, guys. I love this. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, guys, show some love in the chat. Is Scott Besson who came, guys, I didn't know Scott Besson before this election, but this dude is so amazing, man. He knows the art of the deal. You got Orange Man over here, Donald Trump. You got this wizard when it comes to the finances as our Treasury Secretary. This is what I'm talking about. Let's go.
We can still be friends, but we need some space.
I would say one of the big takeaways from this weekend, the United States will continue a strategic rebalancing in many areas that were exposed as supply chain weaknesses during COVID. The consensus from both delegations this weekend is neither side wants a decoupling.
America is going to take some time and focus on ourselves because the way things were going, we were being taken advantage of.
In January 2020, President Trump produced a template. We had an excellent trade agreement with China, and the Biden administration chose not to enforce it. The Chinese delegation basically told us that once President Biden came into office, they just ignored their obligations.
Wow.
So China had a 4-year hall pass because our president was in a brain fog. Or did Joe let it slide because Hunter got bribed? The stock market loved the good news. Dow's up over 1,000 points. It's higher now than it was before Liberation Day. Now the panicans understand the art of the deal.
The panicans.
This, to me, is a signal that there is maybe a different kind of President Trump happening. President Trump seems to be looking for less confrontational style.
Yep.
And this may be the beginning of what I regard as being kind of a little more politics as usual, not for Trump.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
We're still keeping 20.
Guys, is not everybody coming over to his side? And again, all he's doing is showing the spotlight, guys. I want to show you this because everything that's happening is wins by Trump's team, Trump's cabinet team. But look at this right here. This is the Senate Republicans voting against codifying DOGE foreign aid spending cuts. Every single person on here, for whatever reason, is blowing my mind, guys. Because you even have people like Tim Scott. Of course, I agree. Lindsey Graham, he would never want to. He loves war. But you have people in here, Mitch McConnell and all them, that are showing themselves. They don't want to put Americans first. They would rather keep let's just keep handing out hundreds of billions of dollars to overseas foreign countries. We have no idea what the heck is going on with their money, no accountability, and they don't want to codify Trump's DOGE cuts that Elon Musk did. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Every one of these people needs to be primaried. We need to hold them accountable, and we need to get some MAGA people in there because all these wins that we're seeing, guys, this will go away if we do not codify into law Trump's new policies.
5% tariffs on key industries like steel, aluminum, automobiles, and pharmaceuticals. COVID taught us we can't rely on China during a crisis. Everyone's been beating on us like a piñata, watching the candy fall out. We've been paying more for prescriptions while the rest of the world got them cheap.
Starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries and will no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. What we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize, where we're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe's going to pay. We're going to all pay. And it's called most favored nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world.
Democrats like equity. They should like equalizing.
Wow.
That comes out to about an 80% discount for a lot of drugs, even the ones that make you lose weight.
A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up and he said, "President, could I ask you a question?" "What?" "I'm in London and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take." I said, "It's not working." He said, "I just paid $88.
Oh, and
And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?"
Big Pharma's not happy. Their lobbyists are fuming.
Wow.
And whatever happened to the politicians they greased?
President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry, too. I think they gave you $100 million. But he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump.
Trump should put the drug pricing in the big, beautiful bill. Force Democrats to vote against cheaper prescriptions. They can run ads against Democrats in the midterms. I cut your taxes and prescription costs. Democrats voted against it.
Guys, and I want to show you this, guys, because again, it's about bringing full context. The midterms are coming up. We are at a point now that if we don't codify some of these things, if Trump is like number one is we got to codify the tax cuts. We got to do no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime. But if Trump can solidify this trade deal, listen to the top Democrat presidential candidate that I think is going to be running in 2028. Listen to what he says, because again, too, Trump, he's so strong with his cabinet team, can do so much by himself. Listen to this.
If a deal is struck within 90 days, and if it is a deal deemed successful by the Trump administration, remember what I just said about AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Bernie Sanders, etc.? Toast. Democrats will lose the midterms. If Trump finds a way to win this tariff war, and make no mistake, this is where the war was.
Yep.
All of this stuff where he's throwing tariffs at everybody else, that was smokescreen. The target was China.
Yes.
Third largest economy in the world. Target was China. The third largest trading partner, I'm sorry. That's what happened. If this is ultimately deemed a success by the Trump administration, the GOP will win the midterms.
100%.
And you think there's perceived power on the right now. Imagine how it will be then.
Ooh, guys, this is, like I said, coming from the top Democrat presidential nominee who is saying the truth, common sense, that Trump is changing everything. He's changing the world. He's changing America. Guys, I love it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button. Also, Viv, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Viv some love in the chat.
Between cutting trade deals, the White House stopped a nuclear war.
On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons.
Two major wars kicked off under Joe Biden because he wasn't throwing America's weight around when other countries got frisky. It's a lot safer and cheaper for everyone if we prevent wars instead of funding them later. Trump's working on settling those too. He just freed the last living American hostage from Hamas.
I'm very happy to announce that Edan Alexander, an American citizen who until recently most thought was no longer living, thought was dead, is going to be released in about 2 hours, actually.
Wow.
The president's on his way to the Middle East, and he's got one thing on his mind. Quote, all three countries have a ton of money. It's really that simple. Trump's looking to come home with over $1 trillion in investments.
What?
But it's not just money. Trump wants the Arab countries to put their neighbors in check, the Houthis, Hamas, and Iran. And he wants Saudi Arabia to get along with Israel. We expect a lot of big news out of this trip.
Guys, what a G. Is Trump not the original OG going around like the mafia leader, straightening everybody out, straightening out the tariff policy, straightening up Canada, Mexico, the UK, and then throwing his weight around saying, hey, y'all, we don't need to be watching the people over here in the Middle East. Y'all do. And if y'all want to do business with us, you better take care of this. Like, guys, I love it. This is such a strong, powerful president for what? For America. Biden didn't do a dang thing. We could barely get a 12-minute speech out of him from a teleprompter, and he never did an open floor, just question Q&A. Is this not what America's supposed to be like, guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because now we know that Trump just needs two strong leaders in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. And if he can get that, guys, it is game over.
A president goes on an international trip. The staff in advance secretly arranges what are called deliverables, so that the trip is pre-baked as a success because they have in their pocket some things they know they're going to announce. My understanding is this trip is filled with deliverables. There are more deliverables on this trip than white good and plenty and a box of good and plenty. Although the trip is focused on economics, watch for a potential mega diplomatic deliverable. You heard it here first, I think. Watch. I can't say what it is, but there may be a very big diplomatic deliverable.
This is a make or break year for President Trump. He doesn't get another shot at another this term. Well, never mind. Every peace deal brokered, every investment announced, every trade pact signed creates a sense of destiny, unstoppable momentum that could make his second term the most transformational years of this century. His intentions are good. Better jobs, world peace, less waste. Everyone should be for that. If he succeeds, the country will be much better off. This isn't about left or right. All Americans should root for these victories. And remember, Don't be a panicking.
Guys, I'm telling you, if there's not such good news that we are seeing coming from Trump's dream team, but again, guys, I have to show you this again. Why? Because it's so important. Look at the names on here. You got Cassidy, you've got Boozman, you've got Tim Scott, you've got Mitch McConnell. These are the Republicans in the Senate voting against codifying DOGE foreign aid spending cuts. Why? Why? I'm talking about drag shows in Ecuador. I'm talking about Sesame Street in Iraq. I'm talking about all the funding of us basically helping voting out in India. These people are 100% to me the true rhinos. If you truly believed in putting Americans first, you would make sure that the money that we have not only goes to our families, our seniors, our kids, and make sure we pay down the national debt. No, you're still concerned with stepping over an American to go help some foreign person out, which, guys, trust me, I understand. We want to help the world out, but dang it, we got to get our house in order, and we got to take care of our own, because if we don't, then our own is going to suffer like never before. But from this whole trip, guys, we have a lot of people coming in saying, look, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this. We are going to have such a boom of success with Trump. Check this out.
More tax cuts or more tax relief for individuals. And as we expected, all the depreciation and the lower tax rates for businesses. In fact, small businesses got a bigger tax cut. I'm not sure about the 15% made in America, but I mean, it's everything we hope for, I think, and maybe more.
Well, look, I think Jason Smith has done an amazing job as chairman of Ways and Means, working with Speaker Johnson and President Trump. They've come together as a team. Frankly, virtually every committee now, which is reporting out, is achieving great things. And I think that this bill is going to be enormously powerful. It's an absolute big step towards what I described in my newsletter at Gingrich 360 as the coming Trump boom, which I believe is real. I think when you get beyond the noise, the amount of investment you cited in the last segment, the amount of tax breaks that are going to encourage development, encourage work, and I think this is a very important part of it. And then, frankly, the cuts in regulations and the cuts in in spending, which will create more space for interest rates to start coming down. It's pretty hard for me to look at all that and not see how it becomes a boom. And on top of that, Larry, nobody's paying enough attention to the scale of scientific change that's out there, the number of different things, whether it's in pharmaceuticals or it's in artificial intelligence or robotics. There are just an amazing number of things happening that are going to make life more exciting, more productive, and give us a wider range of choices.
You know, just one parenthetical here with this whole business of tax cuts and revenues, and by the way, what I call phony CBO Joint Tax Committee revenue estimates. Mr. Trump's made it very clear that as far as the eye can see, there's going to be a 10% baseline tariff, okay? To some extent, it's the equivalence of a value-added tax from all these countries around the world that we don't have and that hurts us. Anyway, if you just do some back of the envelope, more or less, we import about, I don't know, 4 trillion some odd. If you do 10% of that, you're talking about 400 billion. I don't know what the elasticities are. This isn't permanent. But you got $300 or $400 billion worth of revenues from tariffs that are going to come in the next 4, 5, 6 years. I don't know why they don't use that. Again, either for deeper tax cuts or at least pay for the ones that are on paper. Why don't they use that? Who cares what the CBO says, Newt?
Well, I think the CBO fake budgets are as bad as the fake media. And when I was speaker and we were balancing the budget for 4 straight years, we fought with CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, every single day. I think they probably should count it. On the other hand, Larry, if we actually end up in a situation where a Republican Congress with a Republican president produces a deal which gets better in reality, not worse. That's a pretty huge change from the way Washington normally works. So I don't mind pocketing that money and reducing the deficit, which, as you know, will reduce the pressure on interest rates. And when you look at how much the U.S. government borrows right now, everything we can do to bring down interest rates has a direct impact on moving towards a balanced budget, because we're the largest borrowers in the world. And the Federal Reserve policy right now of keeping the interest rates artificially high is forcing a bigger deficit than we would have if the market simply reacted. I think you're going to see interest rates come down significantly. That will then become a virtuous circle, because it means that federal payments will come down and that the budget will be, in fact, even healthier. So I'm not too bothered. I'm very impressed with how Speaker Johnson has sort of brought his team together. He's still got a few problems. There's still going to be a lot more meetings between now and resolution. But I do think they're going to pass this extraordinary budget bill by Memorial Day. And then this challenges up to the Senate. They got to get it done and conferenced so it can be signed into law by the 4th of July. If that happens, we will have a Trump boom in 2026, and we will keep the House and increase our majority in the Senate.
All right, we'll leave it.
Guys, let me tell you this. I don't see any way, shape, or form that we're going to see a bill come through by July 4th from the House of Representatives led by Mike Johnson. No way. This dude likes to take too much dang vacations. He's too soft. He's not hard enough on his people, because it's one thing, guys. It's one thing to want to work together, make things happen, and bring harmony and peace. But whenever you have the majority, then do the dang job. Get the votes in. And actually make people work. Why are they taking a 2-week vacation in the most consequential time in probably American history? Why would you take an additional 2 days off last week? Put your people to dang work for the American people, guys. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, let me tell you this. We're showing you that when it comes to the business-minded people, people that have actually run a business, understand what Trump's doing, and I love it because our boy Kevin O'Leary comes out, smacks these people on CNN with the truth of knowing what the heck is actually happening. Listen to this.
Make it all open, make it all transparent. There's going to be volatility, which, by the way, has ended up being an incredible buying opportunity. Just when you're in the guts and concerned about how bad it's going to get, had you bought the market at the dip, you've had a phenomenal year. The point is, you can't just look at it by the hour. You got to wait for the outcome. Now, Trump is unusual, and look, what I've learned is don't look at the noise. My goodness, you can't deal with Trump's noise. Look at the signal. What's he trying to do? Reset world order on trade. That taxes work in almost every economy on earth, between 7 and 14%, including all the European countries and Canada. And this is a consumption tax that we can't put through here a popular basis at all. It's coming in the form of tariffs, and I think it's going to...
Right there, guys. Don't be distracted by the noise. Trump knows what he's doing. He just announced a $600 billion investment with the Saudis. China is we're literally on a timeline to get a deal brokered through China. And I got to show you this, guys, because again, too, if there's anything that we call out rhinos, and we call out the people that are trying to go against Trump's trade tariff plan. Because remember, this guy that I'm about to show you actually voted with 3 other Republicans and the Democrats to stop Trump's Canada tariff policies, and they actually passed it. Now, it's going to go to the House, and it's not going anywhere, but we call this dude out. He's about to be called out on live TV for being a panicking, being somebody who is 100% not trusting that our president is a businessman and he knows what he's doing. Fred Samuel, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Fred some love in the chat. He said, cut Congress and Senate pay to $15 an hour until they actually deserve what they receive. 100%. That's a phenomenal idea, because you know right now they get paid $174,000 a year, plus stipends for apartment, cars. They get meals paid for, guys. They need a reality check. Listen to this.
Bring in Senator Rand Paul. Senator, you were panicking. You were against the tariffs. You were anti-tariff. Now, what do you have to say?
Let's go.
Jesse, I'm a free market guy. I think international trade creates great wealth, and there's all the facts and history of the last 100 years to prove it.
It doesn't matter when we're getting ripped off. And that's what was happening. Previous congressmen allowed us to get ripped off. So when you say free market, you know what? Let's get fair. I'd rather have fair trade than just keep getting ripped off.
But I'm also a friend of Donald Trump's. I'm a supporter of Donald Trump's. When he has successes with trade, I've said I will compliment him. If he succeeds in lowering tariffs and lessening the obstacles to trade, I'll be right there. I think it's unknown with China. We started out at 145%, then we went to 80%, now we're at 30%. But that's 30% more than we have on currently. So this will be a 30% rise in any goods who are coming from China, and somebody will pay that, and it will be the consumer. If the consumer's happy to pay more when they go to Walmart or more when they go to Target in order to get fairness or to teach China a lesson, then so be it. But the proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens over the next 6 months to a year.
So you think our defense industry should rely on the Chinese? You think we should rely on Chinese steel? You trust China?
No, I think there are exceptions to trade and exceptions to free international trade. One of them would be defense industries. We obviously aren't going to buy our, intercontinental ballistic missiles from them. We're not going to have enriched uranium coming from China. So our defense industry is completely independent and needs to be. And there are even some things that aren't necessary for defense that I would say we ought to make here. The flag, for goodness sake.
Or pharmaceuticals. So you don't want pharmaceuticals coming from China.
No, well, actually, I don't. But here's the thing: there's a real question. This is a serious question you ask conservatives. How do you want to bring a pharmaceutical industry to our country? Do you want to do it by reducing taxes or raising taxes? The president thinks if you raise taxes on imports, which Americans will pay, that it will encourage local industry. Another way of doing it is China makes like 4 different antibiotics. They're generic. There's not much profit in them. What we should do is lower the taxes to 0 for 10 years for anybody who will compete with them in our country. So it's just a matter of perspective. I would rather lower taxes. Raising taxes or tariffs is not my cup of tea.
Well, you can cut taxes on American companies here and then raise import duties against China. Because
why not?
I don't trust the Chinese. Let me ask you about this, Senator. This story's breaking right now. Qatar just made Trump an offer he can't refuse. A $400 million Air Force One replacement because Boeing didn't deliver their jet on time.
Wow.
Trump can ride it until his term is up. And Democrats are calling this a bribe. But Bondi says it's completely legal as long as he transfers the jet to his library and eventually switches back to Trump Force One. Now, he says only a stupid person would take the deal. Listen.
Why do you say people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
You're ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
Only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. There was an old.
Hey guys, I just want to know: is Trump really rocking the orange tan right now? I think he's got it. Is this the true orange man? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear of him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer, and he had a motto: when they give you a putt, you say thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say no, I insist on putting it. Then they putt it, and they miss it.
So should we be putting out our gimmies, Senator?
Well, it's a little bit different than a gimme putt. And the Constitution in Article 2 talks about the president can't take emoluments or gifts from foreign leaders. And so there is a provision in the Constitution that says you can't do this. And so the question is, can you do it if it's only for official purposes? If it came to someone in Congress, they can vote and the Ethics Committee can look at it. With his, there will have to be some kind of adjudication. This has never been done, and it's not like a ride on the plane. We're talking about the entire $400 million plane. I think it's not worth the appearance of impropriety. Whether it's improper or not, I don't think it's worth it. The other problem with Qatar is, I've spent time trying not to sell weapons to Qatar because they have human rights violations of their people. Many of their people are prevented from participating in the government, and some of the minority religious folks in Qatar are treated poorly. And so I really haven't been a big fan And I wonder if our ability to judge their human rights record would be clouded by the fact of this large gift. So I wouldn't take it. That's just me. I don't think it's a good idea.
If Qatar does give it to him, and he says, hey, Rand, you want to hop on a jet down to Palm Beach? You'll say no?
Yeah, I've always wanted to ride on the Emiratis jet, you know, where you have a shower and a bathtub and all that stuff.
Me too.
And a bar and a dance floor, but I've never been able to fork over the 20 grand, I think each way. So I probably won't be riding on it. But no, I think it's a mistake. And it's just bringing up something he doesn't need. Look, the biggest success he has had so far is controlling the border. In a matter of weeks, he controlled the border. They should talk about the border every day, all day, and nothing but the border and say, look what I've done. No new money, no new bill, and I controlled the border by sheer willpower. And I think he does deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, he sure does. The fat shot. It's only $88 in London, but here it's over $1,000. Should we make the fat shot less expensive, or should we not even really have a fat shot?
The thing is if you want prices to be low and you say the government should just make them fair or low, Venezuela's got a great example of this, and they've had price controls on everything, but you know what? They don't have anything. Price controls lead to shortages. And so in the European countries that have price...
Let me tell you this, guys, because I feel like this is so necessary to say. Most of our healthcare subsidized in America when it comes to the middle and the lower class. So when Trump's talking about price controls, the only reason that the dang prescription drugs are as expensive as they are is because the manufacturers can get away with it. The government will pay it using taxpayer dollars to subsidize it so they just can continue raising prices. And guess what? Nothing ever changes. Trump is talking about doing something different where it's put a rule in place, stop subsidizing how Americans' healthcare is paid for. Because how many times do you go to the doctor, or if you've ever been to the doctor, and then they give you a bill with one line that says pay this much, and you have no idea how much the rest of it costs? Why? Because it's all a system. And the system is very rigged in terms of the elitists and all these lobbyists and all these big everybody, guys. So when I see this right here and Trump's trying to make things more fair, I am 100% for it, because there's too many people that have rigged the government, and that's why we spend almost what, $2.5 trillion on healthcare a year. When it comes to Medicare and Medicaid, it's 1.9 trillion a year on Medicare and Medicaid, because the system is rigged. People get paid off. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Controls, they're lower because the government mandates that the price can't be the market price. And so they do get a better deal, but they do it by force and by mandate. But what you end up having is a regulated market. So if you want the fat shot, you got to go to the government doctor. You may get it, you may not get it, but you don't go and just get the medicine you want if a doctor will prescribe it. You have to get permission from the government. They'll make you take the cheaper variety for a couple years. If you have need a heart surgery, you may be dead by the time you get it. That's the European system. That's socialism, and I want no part of it. I don't like high prices, but I think there are ways to bring prices down. What I've suggested, and Donald Trump agreed with me in the last administration, is something called associated health plans, where you join like Costco or Sam's Club, and 44 million members then get someone to negotiate for them, and they bring prices down that way. That's the market doing it. If you do it by government fiat, you'll end up with shortages, and I don't want to be Venezuela.
Okay, no price controls, no fat shots, no rides on the Qatar Force One, and no tariffs. Rand Paul, very interesting conversation. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. El Prophet, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said, Joel, I keep hearing we're going to pay for the tariffs. Guys, let me tell you this. It's so complex with the system of the market that we experienced inflation in the past 4 years. Why? Because the president didn't know what he was doing, went up to almost over 9%, came back down, and we paid for it. When it comes to these tariffs and paying for it, there is always going to be a year-over-year price increase of inflation. But we experienced that. But whenever inflation is only rising at 1% and then the economy is growing, so people are making more money, it doesn't feel like there's any price changes whatsoever. That is what Trump is planning to do. That's why he's bringing in so many jobs, so many investments, slowing down the spending of government, which he has slowed down by 92% of the government spending and increasing the national debt. So when he's doing all these things, you don't feel the tariff increases, and you just feel yourself keeping more money in your pocket because the overall economy is winning and growing, and the government is slowing down. Because remember, the only way that you get inflation is whenever the government creates money out of nowhere and adds more money to the market. So since we're slowing that down because we're slowing the national debt growth and we don't need to borrow as much, we are helping every American out. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button. I want to say thank you guys to everybody that is watching, to all of our subscribers and viewers. We cannot do this without you. We're so grateful for your support. If you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Guys, we want to take care of you every day with the top news. We love y'all so much. Thank you for supporting us, guys. Right now, I'm on vacation with my family, but we're still bringing you the breaking news. Just one show per day this week, and then next week we'll jump back to our 2 shows per day. But I'm so thankful that we have your support. Whenever you are a member of the channel, whenever you give a super chat, guys, remember, we are growing our giving every single month, guys, of giving back to local charities and changing lives. So I thank you so much when you like these videos, share these videos. It means the world to us because we're bringing the truth, we bring the receipts, we bring the context, so you are fully informed. But I do want to give some love to What's New? Pamela Dunbar, Bonnie Morris. Guys, y'all show Bonnie some love in the chat. She's reaching OG status. Sandra S. for gifting 5 TrueLife News memberships. Papa Don, Melissa Sadler, Elizabeth Ross Watson, welcome to the family. Viv, Fred Samuel, El Prophet. Guys, show these people some love in the chat. Thank you so much for your support. We love you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.